I was just thinking about foodstuff chemistry on the sale to the customer, um, and the difference between what is it? Digestion, absorption, the end product, insofar as what the body creates with the food stuff, substance, energy, thing stuff. And you can bet that it's not always a one-to-one. You know, let me say a one-to-one when you pass through the digestive process. Assimilative of course, the substance consumed itself, right? So it's, say you eat oats, right? Synthesis occurs to make a full protein, right? Necessarily, I would hypothesize, if you just ate oats, right? That's why tasty wheat thing. It's like a synthesis layer reset necessarily is to eat only oats, I would say. But yeah, that one-to-one supplementation to in product your body uses it for that thing directly isn't unilateral, and the of course, and going through the digestive process changes things, and you start to wonder why sugar is so bad, because it's like the crack of carbohydrates, right? Or it violates the synthesis chain and jumps up the channel. And where if you had eaten oats, that would have been necessarily, the high rotating would have been as required. But yeah, food chemistry on the consumer side, on the sale, and the Western absence of autophagy, insofar as the absence of in the Western process, no abatement of the consumptive process, as it violates the consumero sort of directive of general mass psychology, as it's like to be seated. So if everyone stops consuming and experiences autophagy, you have a lot less long-term case things pop up as a predictive result of eating tainted foodstuffs generalistically. That print an expected market of disease expectantly. You see the handshake of the food industry and the pharmaceutical industry with things like glyphosate, monosodium glutamate, Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, dementia spectrum from dopaminergic neuronal decay from long-term ingestion of excitotoxin, monosodium glutamate, in general mass boxed foodstuffs. That is the cause, generally, among other excitotoxin, long-term ingestion of Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, dementia spectrum disorders. Beta amyloid plaque buildup as a result of the body reacting to defend itself against a constant onslaught of excitotoxin ingestion. It develops those beta amyloid plaques. And you can see patent number 6630507, cannabis. It's a patent owned by the Department of Health and Human Services since the year of 2004. Breaks down beta amyloid plaques and prevents beta amyloid plaque buildup. Also prevents dopaminergic neuronal decay because it's neuroprotective. Tetrahydrocannabidiol and CBD concomitant. Wouldn't you know? So, in the wake of the general mass food supply being tainted with excitotoxin generalistically, having in the general pharmacopoeia patent number 6630507, you might see that's Willie Nelson's home brand also. As a general consumptive, sort of like, it goes without saying that everyone just takes it, is a good rule of thumb, right? Because it prevents things like my grandfather, who couldn't remember outside of 30 seconds, and found himself with a broken hip in a year or two in a bed, just pissing and shitting on himself and constantly in a nightmare, because of 50 years of tainted food supply ingestion that resulted in a completely burnt out brain from dopaminergic neuronal decay, long-term excitotoxin ingestion. Anyways, general food stuff, Westerno, pharmaceutical industrial complex, rant 1. And here's the rant 2. Eugenics is outside of, I would say, general rules of thumb and wherewithals of other demographics, interdomain of the multifaceted plural species, humanoid planet that we live on. Outside of that, which is tending the garden of the self-maintenance of your species unto itself and protecting from others, it's very basic, or whatever. There is no necessarily a reason for population active maintenance reduction via a eugenics protocol ongoing as what? Look up. Look up at the night sky, walk outside the city. Look at all the stars. There's any number of exoplanets that are completely habitable. You just have to get to them. What's the problem? Propulsion? Yes. Well, in-house, since probably the 30s, we have hyper-advanced alien propulsion technology that can take us to other planets. So, logic stands, why are we practicing eugenics on this one? And then you think about our, affinity place in this universe as a species unto ourselves, still looking for other, right? When they're so pluralistically a watering hole, cinnabar, mining colony, outpost outside of time's mind, it's history's And here we are ourselves find, in the ruins of whatever all that was. And so the universe is reachable technologically already, and has been for a while necessarily. It takes a while to figure out how to reverse engineer the digital washing machine when you only have a washing board and you're washing your pastels in a river, above, below a sea of stars. But we can imagine it's been a while. Silicon out of the backwash of the craft, the space race. First the size of a room, now it fits in your hand, the Hitchhiker's Guide. And like a lot of things, it comes first to you as a tool for enslavement, rather than, an abatement of the traditional status quo of things. But times are changing, and knowledge is power, necessarily. But at some point it isn't. You say, how is that? Well, if everyone has access to all knowledge necessarily, I say all knowledge. I say Wikipedia, does it have all knowledge? What does it have on aliens? What does it have on Atlantis? Cinnabar mining? Outpost? Pluralistic? Sort of 70% water here, and sulfides beget cinnabar, and Mars is pretty red, isn't it? So, being that space is practically not infinite necessarily, it's a hyperdimensional fractal flux vortex whose outside as it's in, it's constantly recyclicating and disapparating and recrystallizing. But is nonetheless very big of a place to live in and spread out in. So there's no necessarily reason to be practicing eugenics at all, given the nature of technology as it exists today. Hey, here's an idea. What do you do when there's an oil war on? You don't want it to go on forever. It's kind of about the commodity now. Think hard now. So you go, pull the tablecloth out real quick. And come on down to going up. Anti-gravity. It's the new thing. Everyone's doing it. Since 2,000 years ago at least, or more, give or take a million or so, 6,000 at least, and here we are. Hold on.
You are the first born protector God of right.
Somewhere in the stars. And so how do we cause world peace to occur overnight? Well, we have a transport layer we didn't have before called cryptocurrency, right? Smart contracts, where you can say, being that it's a monopoly that is a seething mass of military industrial trolls, that if you poke them with a little stick, they shoot you with a big gun, right? So, each to themselves, if affected, their market position necessarily. So what do? You have to maintenance the monopoly, unfortunately, for whatever reason. It's just, it is a business. In my opinion, it's because there's an alternative, not crap Chinese solar panels, but mercury reactor technology, etc. Crap. Flintstones technology, we should be on the Jetsons by now, you'd think, right? When was that cartoon? So what you do is you do a one-to-one holdings transfer of, and you make international reclassified through the power structure that is global geopolitical handshake, to say that this commodity is now reclassified cinnabar, to make it one-to-one, being that its deposit saturation isn't what? It's not in the same places that all these oil barons are. It's in different places. That's a problem. So you have all these people rooted in, and this is elsewhere. It fucks with their status quo. So it's just like exponential elliptical curve of entropy called fire world forever. How do you fix it? Well, we have a transport layer called cryptocurrency with smart contracts, etc., that you can maybe do a one-to-one value transfer to all of the holdings of the commodity, cinnabar, reclassified international to be, however this needs to be. I'm not a lawyer or whatever. So that it's like not consumero accessible in some weird, I don't know, but some sort of weird transitory mechanism to allow for the power structure to pull the tablecloth out and throw it back on with it's a different color. It's a horse of a different color all of a sudden. It was bright pink before, now it's baby blue. God forbid. God forbid. Gender politics at the apex of anti-gravity, am I right? But yeah. So that would mean like there would have to be an oil to cinnabar transitory international period agreement, an epoch, where it's stated that we're going to shift everything from burning stuff to Electro-Magno-Gravnetic Harmonic energy.